morning once again, and welcome to the Haven Financial Group radio show. I'm Larry Kolvig, founder and CEO of the Haven Financial Group. On with Kyle Thomas, certified financial planner on the Haven investment team. Proudly celebrating 10 years of being in business, 10 years from the time the doors opened. And we've been very fortunate and blessed, number one, to work hard, but able to help so many people in all of these retirement areas that aren't necessarily fun topics to discuss, but they're important topics. And we want people to feel comfortable and confident that by having these conversations in these retirement prep years, if you will, if you're younger, older, maybe you're already retired and you're listening, again, give us a call at 612-504-8400, or maybe come to one of our classes on havenfinancialgroup.com. You can see all of our educational classes. It's how we all learn, through education. And we're very proud, and we find it very important. Just this past week, we had full classes, almost full classes. So people are wanting to learn, not a better way to than just come out to the classes or just come in and visit with us.
Sure. We want to talk about the role your financial advisor might play when it comes to helping you manage your emotions. We've been talking about emotions in finance throughout this entire show, but we want to take a moment and just talk specifically about relationships, and that being your financial advisor and you. Kyle, I think in some ways you probably have to play an advisor. You have to play, a role, a marriage counselor, even at times, right? With some of these folks, as you walk through putting a great plan together, keeping everybody happy and keeping everybody comfortable.
Yeah, because there are so many times that we can't even count where the goals are different, or the risk profile tolerances are different. So, it's very common for that to happen, actually. I mean, it's part of if you look at behavioral finance, men and women just think different naturally. So that's gonna play into it. So, but there's a huge human element that we've discussed here today. And when you're working with a financial planner, it's important to make sure that you're in that right risk profile, right? And one of the things that we do is we look at back testing our portfolios, and we also the first rule of investing actually is past returns are not indicative of future returns, right? But that's the best data that we have. We look back over the last 75 years. So we back test, but then we also look back over 75 years of history to help us formulate those best portfolios that we believe we can create. And we talked about the need, the willingness, and the ability, and what risk profile it is. A lot of people ask about 100 minus your age for your risk profile. And I say, well, I mean, that's fine. But if you're going to be working with an advisor, you can come up with a much better answer and solution to what your needs are. So as we get back to that human element, there's a whole lot that goes into it that an advisor does, as well as the behavioral part and managing the relationships and making sure everyone's happy.
Well, and I really believe that not every financial advisor does that. I feel confident that there are some out there who take a look at the plan, they use the technology, and then they look at a couple who's not getting along and they say, hey, you got to work this out. Let me know what you want to do. And I know for a fact that is not the approach that you have at Haven.
It is not the approach. You are very accurate at that. I hear quite often, and I don't quite understand it, that advisors don't have the compassion. They don't have the discussions. The way you described is, I hear that quite often, which would not be our approach. We joke, some days I'm a financial counselor, other days I'm a marriage counselor. Communication, it comes down to that again. I got a funny story here. A couple of weeks ago, I had a couple in from Lakeville, second marriage, and we're taking them through our process that we take everybody through, and asking questions. And we're on the topic of a pension, and he has a pension, and I asked them, I said, now, are you planning to have a spousal continuation on that pension? And it was complete silence, crickets. And I figured they must not have heard me. So I asked him the question again, will your spouse have spousal continuation if something happens to you? And he blurted out, she's not getting any of it. And I think I heard a pin drop in my office. And I decided, I think I'm going to leave and you guys talk this through a little bit. So again, that happens more often than you think.
Yeah, I'll
So the
bet.
communication is so important, really, being the adult in the room and, talking things through, all the things that you would expect from a marriage or a long time relationship.
Sure.
So again, everybody handles this stuff differently. Money can cause stress. There's all kinds of negativity in the news, inaccurate information. We're doing that quite often. Clearing the air of, where did you hear that? Where did you hear that? I got a call last week that was like, oh my goodness, did you hear what's going to happen? I said, no, I must not be in the know.
Mhm.
Well, all the banks in the United States of America are going to be closed by Wednesday. Really? That's so interesting. I would have thought maybe I would have heard of that, but I haven't. What's your source? I'm not even going to say what the source was, but again, be careful of all that negative news out there. It's
Sure.
it's overwhelming.
Yep.
And that's why anxiety does get so high.
Well, it seems like a really good financial advisor is listening to everybody in the room and maybe can interpret some things that maybe a couple cannot interpret, bouncing back and forth, or they're not hearing what the other one is saying. So, Kyle, you got a counselor degree?
Yeah. I don't have a specific counselor degree, but I'm one of several CFPs on the team, and that actually is a huge part of our training to become a certified financial planner. The behavioral finance part of it, and just being able to understand people's emotions and be able to come up with solutions for that, and just looking at the different types of there's different types of emotions that people have, like anchoring into specific investments is one of those, right? So
Right.
there's so many different kinds of emotions that come into play, and we're just there to help manage those emotions, to not necessarily, break them down, but just try to build around them and create some kind of sense of comfort. And maybe eventually it does kind of break that down just because of the plan we're putting together. But just making sure that whoever we're working with knows that we're caring about their accounts and their livelihood, so that they can be comfortable with us and create a great long-term relationship.
Absolutely.
Kim, my wife doesn't like when I say this, but we got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Sometimes listening is way more important than talking.
Mhm.
And I have heard this over the years, that a lot of advisors don't listen and they want to do all the talking just because they think they're the smartest person in the room. We ask lots of questions. I love when people say, our guy or gal has never asked us any of this information. And my thought is, how can they be really retirement advising
Mhm.
and not ask these questions? See, just financial advising throughout the course of your years is different than retirement advising.
Mhm.
There should be a difference, because now we're coordinating not just investments, but all the other pieces of retirement are now coming into play, and they should be coordinated. And oftentimes people are doing this over here, nothing over here, and it is inefficient, costly, and they're going about it exactly the wrong way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you need someone in your corner, folks. There's no two ways about it, because it can be overwhelming. There are times in the course of our lives where we feel unsteady, and it's great to have a partner who can say, hey, listen, you've done the work. This is the way it's supposed to be, and everything is okay.
For sure. To give you the confidence that you should have, the attention you deserve,
Mhm.
understanding what you're paying for all these services, because you are paying for something. Because I bet you I heard it 3 times this past week. What are you paying your guy or gal? Well, I don't pay them anything. Well, I know they're not working for free, but what value are you getting? Are you having these discussions? Annual enrollment's coming up for Medicare. Shop it out, because there's a lot of changes. If you haven't had life insurance reviewed, maybe it's about time. If nobody's paying attention to your investments, or you don't know, or we talked about rebalancing, maybe that's time that you should. Maybe it's other tax discussions that you're not having that you should have. We're getting close to the fourth quarter, end of third, and Roth conversions. Are they appropriate? Is anybody talking to you about it? Are you drawing from the right accounts, or don't you know? These are questions that you should have answers to, and maybe we're the ones that can give you those answers.
Yeah. I think if you have the answers to those questions, chances are very good you'll sleep better at night. 612-504-8400. That's how you reach the folks at Haven Financial Group. Give that number a call. Tell them you heard Larry on the radio. You'd like to set up an appointment. It is free. You can come in, have a consultation, talk about what's important to you, what maybe is keeping you up at night. If you already have a portfolio, you can bring it in and have that portfolio tested. Maybe it's that time. 612-504-8400 is the number. Listen, finances are emotional. No two ways about it, gentlemen. And I think this has been a great topic to address because I know a lot of people out there feel emotional about their finances at one time or another.
Kim, as always, great to be with you. Look forward to next week. Have a blessed week and go Vikings.